Batman. You know, sometimes one of the most iconic scenes in a movie can be the very first scene that you see. Such is the case for today's episode, because we are going to be breaking down the opening scene from Christopher Nolan's masterpiece, The Dark Knight. I don't know how much there is to say other than this is probably a movie that you've seen. Christopher Nolan famously helmed one of the most popular superhero trilogies of all time, maybe the most popular superhero trilogy of all time, with the Dark Knight trilogy. And the second movie specifically was so iconic that it became the name for the entire trilogy. So today we are going to be watching that scene and breaking down exactly what makes it so incredible. I'm Keir Gomes with JoBlo Originals, and you are watching Scene Breakdown. Now, it is more than likely that you've seen this trilogy, but if you haven't, it's more than likely that you've seen the second installment of this trilogy, The Dark Knight. This would be considered probably the most important superhero movie ever made, and in my personal opinion, it is one of the best. And I think the Academy would agree with me on that, as up until recently, this movie had the most Oscar nominations of any superhero movie ever. I think that record is now held by Todd Phillips' Joker film, which is a huge coincidence considering both of these movies feature the Joker. As with our Raiders of the Lost Ark episode, there's not really a whole lot of context I can give you for this, seeing as this is the opening scene in the movie. There's not even a title sequence before this. But I think what really makes this an important scene is that before we check in with Batman and see what he's up to after the first film, first we meet our villain for this movie, and that's the Joker. For any Batman fans out there, you know the Joker is a very important antagonist for Batman, and at this point when this movie was made, we had only seen the Joker in cinema one other time, played by Jack Nicholson. You know, nowadays it's a little bit easier because we see the Joker pop up in Batman movies all over the place and played by different actors each time. But at the time, this was Christopher Nolan taking a villain that hadn't been seen on the big screen since the 80s and trying to create something fresh and new. And to do that, he hired legendary teen heartthrob Heath Ledger. I don't know if you guys remember this, but even though everybody loves Heath Ledger as the Joker now, at the time when this casting was announced, nobody was on board for it and everybody thought it was a bad idea. It just goes to show you how talented Heath Ledger was and how much vision Christopher Nolan had for his movie. And of course, we cannot talk about this scene without mentioning the incredible and iconic score by Hans Zimmer. Especially in this scene with the Why So Serious theme being used. I mean, you could hear this thing in movies to come being ripped off over and over and over again. Take for example the Robin Hood movie starring Taron Egerton and Jamie Foxx. That movie's whole climax is basically made up of a ripoff of the Why So Serious theme. And I am so excited to get into this scene, so let's do it. Alright, I am so excited, so let's just dive into the scene. Now, this movie was released in IMAX in 2008 alongside I Am Legend, and at the time, seeing this in all of its big screen IMAX glory was unparalleled by any other superhero film ever. It not only made the movie feel bigger in scope, but it added so much more of an epic surrounding vision to Christopher Nolan's version of Gotham City. I love this too, it gets right into it. Like I said, there's no opening credits, there's no opening titles, the movie starts. It looks so good, that IMAX, you know, it's so cinematic. I know that's like kind of a broad term these days, but it looks so good. And that's actually Chicago, which people give Christopher Nolan a lot of shit because his Gotham doesn't look like Gotham. But, you know, for this kind of movie, it works. Like, Gotham looks like any other big city, you know? Iconic shot right there. If any video essay that's ever talked about this movie, you've seen that shot before. And that mask, actually, first pause of the video, that mask is actually based off of Cesar Romero's Joker, not his makeup, but in season 1 of the 1966 Adam West Batman show, I believe it's episode 5, if you're familiar, let me know. He wears a clown mask and it's that design. So this was Christopher Nolan kind of paying that homage. And I think that's really cool. It kind of rewards you if you're a fan of the old Adam West Batman. I love that. It's got like the cinematic flavor of like Heat, you know? It's really, really good. that zip line. And these are, by the way, that's not a drone, you know, because this was 2008. Those are IMAX cameras on a huge rig to get those aerial shots.
6 years. Don't forget the guy who played the job.
He thinks he can
A little bit of dialogue.
I know why they call him the Joker.
Now these guys are actually, their code names are based on like the 7 dwarfs from Snow White. And the Joker, they never say it in dialogue, but if you watch the movie with subtitles, the Joker's code name is Bozo. And I think that's really good. I'm also curious, did you guys notice, I'm gonna pause it again, this is kind of a small thing, but I'm curious, did you notice that it doesn't look like the Joker has green hair at the beginning of this movie, but then like when he takes his mask off and he's, you know, got the makeup on, he does, but like right here it doesn't look like he has green hair under that mask. I don't know if that matters, just an interesting thought.
All right, everybody, hands up, heads down. I said hands up, heads down. Let's go, pal. I'm making a withdrawal here.
I love the color grading too. Everything looks kind of like sickly greens, kind of like the same color grade as The Prestige, which was also Christopher Nolan.
That's funny. It didn't dial out to 911. It was trying to reach.
I love this.
Is it a problem?
No, I'm done here.
Why stab him in the back? You could shoot him in the... That's stupid. Yeah, the big bad bank manager here. Now, this is also really interesting. This this bank that they're supposedly in is not actually a bank, obviously, but it is a very, very famous landmark. It's the Chicago Post Office, which, you know, if you've ever been to Chicago, you've probably seen it downtown. And they actually had like off-duty police officers. They had all kinds of actual Chicago workers as extras for this scene, which I think is really cool too, because it kind of does add to the realism of it. Even if you don't know that, there's just, you know, there's something tangible about having extras reacting as not actors, but just kind of real people, you know? I do also have to say, I'm glad that everybody in the Chicago Post Office is okay, because I also heard that during the filming of this, there was a fire on the upper level of the building, and everybody that was there, like the off-duty police officers that were volunteering as extras, and some of the workers that had been on set, they all thought that it was part of the production, so nobody thought to call the fire department at first. Obviously, eventually, you know, they figured it out and nobody got hurt, but can you imagine if you're like on set and you're watching this incredible movie being made, and you know when you're watching it being filmed, you know it's incredible. You could tell by the cameras, by just the scope of it all. So you see a little smoke coming from the roof, you're gonna think, okay, that's definitely part of the production. And then you find out that the Chicago Post Office was kind of on fire. Incredible. Look at that. This is like 1970s gritty thriller heist movie, you know? Like the feeling of it, it's good. It's good. This bank manager is not in the mood to take any shit from anyone. I love to, at this point in the movie, we don't know that that's the Joker, but once you figure it out, then you go back and watch it, his whole demeanor is perfect. He's so, even though he's kind of running from the gun, he's so relaxed. You can see in like his shoulders, his body language, he's not sweating it at all. I love that, by the way, the little, yeah, he's out. Pop. Kind of had the bank manager do his work for him, you know?
Where did you learn to count?
Where'd you learn to count?
They wired this thing up with like 5,000 volts. What kind of bank does that?
I heard too, Jonathan and Christopher Nolan, who wrote this movie together, I heard that they specifically wrote a lot of the dialogue between the robbers to allude to the fact that the Joker does not have a cemented origin, which everybody knows is kind of part of the allure of the Joker. But at the time, that had not been done in the movies yet. This was the first time. And the previous time that we saw the Joker in film, he did have an origin story. He was actually Joe Chill, sort of, in that continuity. But in this one, they specifically wrote it so that way the audience would be confused as to what the Joker's true origin is, which makes him obviously a lot more terrifying. And I love that. I love that they did that.
Where's the alarm guy?
Boss told me when the guy was done, I should take him out. One less share, right?
He told me the same thing.
He told me something similar.
No, no!
How relaxed he is. He's the only one that's not sweating it. But see what I mean? It didn't look like his hair was green. It's a lot of money.
If this Joker guy was so smart, he'd have had us bring a bigger car.
Oh,
bet
I
the
love
Joker
this.
told you to kill me as soon as we loaded the cash.
No. I killed a bus driver.
What an amazing line.
What bus driver?
Boom. So this is a really interesting piece here. This is obviously kind of the button, or the, you know, the big set piece is the bus crashing through the back. And that was a lot more difficult than it might seem. So obviously doing this kind of stuff practically is difficult to do, but that's exactly what Christopher Nolan and his crew did. What they did was they actually had to take apart a bus and reassemble it inside the building so that they could get these shots, take it apart again, and then reassemble it outside the building. So they had this kind of false wall for the bus to crash through, and they had it hooked to a huge hydraulic air cannon to fire that bus back. Nobody actually drove it backwards. They had something fire it backwards through a false wall, and then they reassembled it so that they could shoot this, and then they had to reassemble it again or get a different bus so that they could drive it out. But that's really, really fascinating, considering when you're shooting this stuff, when you're seeing it in a movie, it happens in 10 seconds. Movie magic is, it's incredible. And especially when you have practical effects. Like this kind of thing, it just looks, mwah, I love it. I get so excited, I start tripping over my words. It's just so good.
It's not getting up, is he? That's a lot of money.
If you guys live in Chicago and you've been into the Chicago post office, comment that down below. I want to know. That means that you've been where this went down.
Think you're smart, huh?
You guys know that Paul Bettany almost played the Joker? I'll pause it right there. Paul Bettany almost played the Joker in this movie. Christopher Nolan says he always wanted Heath Ledger, which, you know, at the time, people didn't think made a lot of sense, but to Chris Nolan, he saw Brokeback Mountain, I think, which if you've seen that movie, you know Heath Ledger gives an absolutely incredible performance. But before he knew that he could get him, another consideration they had was Paul Bettany, who plays Vision in the MCU. And I think it would have been good. I think it could have been great, even. I'm glad we got Heath. But Paul Bettany would make a sick Joker, I think. I love, too, that Christopher Nolan got William Fichtner to play the bank manager, because even with such a small role, this guy is acting his heart out. You probably recognize him from things like Crash, or Black Hawk Down, or Armageddon, but this is definitely one of the most iconic movies you can find him in.
Think you're smart, huh?
Did you guys know, too, they destroyed... I gotta pause it again. Just seeing the bus reminded me. Something like, I think it was 39 or 40 vehicles were either destroyed or blown up or rolled or whatever in this movie. In terms of just destruction and chaos, 39 vehicles completely destroyed for this movie. And the bus was the first one. Iconic.
They'll just do the same to you. Oh, criminals in his town used to believe in things.
Probably the most recognizable line right here.
What do you believe in, huh? What do you believe in?
I believe whatever doesn't kill you simply makes you stranger.
How good does that makeup look? I heard that when they did the makeup, Heath Ledger kind of scrunched his face up like that when they put the makeup on, so that way when he relaxed his face, you'd see those kind of wrinkles that made it look a little bit more makeshift, a little bit more scrappy. It looks like he never takes the makeup off. You can see it looks like he's just been like sweating in it and wearing it under that mask. It's gotta be hot. I love that. It's very scary indeed. Very scary. Also, I think he had this grenade situation with the string on it. You can see if you go back, there's parts within this scene where you can see that little fray, that little string coming from his jacket, which kind of makes you think that, you know, this was like that, you know? best getaway, but I got a problem with this little button to the scene here. Obviously, somebody would have seen the bus driving out of that bank, and while it does blend in and the cops come just a little too late to have seen it, one of these bus drivers would have called the cops, or told the cops, right? But I guess it doesn't matter, because by the time that happens, he's in the wind. So never mind, I don't have a problem. And that to me is the right way to introduce a character whose whole shtick is that they're motiveless, that they just are evil for the sake of being evil, or rather, chaos for the sake of being chaos. It really makes me miss Heath Ledger, but you know what? He did an incredible performance, and this scene is just one of many where he truly shines in this film. As always, I do want to know what you guys think. In fact, why don't you tell me your favorite Batman movie down below? Spoiler alert, mine is The Batman by Matt Reeves, but this one is a very close second. In fact, if you ask me again next week, this one might be my favorite. Who knows? That is all the time that we have today, but please make sure you drop a like on this video and of course subscribe for more of the best movie content. Before we continue with our video, here's a reminder to click the store tab on any of our JoBlo channels and browse our collection of the latest and freshest designs in our merch store. Go get you some. Folks, you know and I know that we're all Batman fans here. In fact, any piece of Batman media at all at least interests me a little bit. And with highly anticipated pieces of Batman media like the Colin Farrell-led The Penguin TV series or the rumored and somewhat in development Arkham series, not to mention the in development The Batman Part 2, and of course the upcoming Batman the Brave and the Bold under James Gunn's new DCU. Whew, that is a lot of Batman, but what comes with that much Batman? A lot of Joker.
Oh, how delicious it is!
You can call me Joker.
My father was a drinker. A truce, Bruce.
Do you know how it feels to have the only thing you love, ripped away from you?
Now look, I know that the Joker is of course the most iconic villain in Batman's rogues gallery. In fact, the Joker may or may not be one of my favorite comic book villains of all time, ever. But I must admit that back in 2022, when I heard that the Joker might be making a cameo in Matt Reeves' The Batman, I don't know. I didn't know how I felt. In fact, I still don't know how I feel, and that's why we're here today. See, in Matt Reeves' The Batman, the film ends with a small cameo from Barry Keoghan as none other than the Joker. It was known that Barry Keoghan had been cast in the film, however, what was unknown was the character he would be playing. A lot of us thought that it was going to be the Mad Hatter due to that one photo he posted online and tons of internet scoops claiming that they could confirm it, only to find out that he was playing somebody much more iconic. But with that iconic status comes the expectations from the audience to nail it and get it right. And I must say, while you can't really tell how his performance as the Joker would be any different from the small part in the film, there was a subsequent deleted scene from the movie that might give us some more insight into Barry Keoghan's idea of the Clown Prince of Crime. I feel like I just went like full-blown news host. I kind of nailed that take. Can we? We'll use that take, definitely. Now look, here's the thing. I love The Batman. I think Robert Pattinson did a kick-ass job. I think Matt Reeves did a kick-ass job at bringing the Caped Crusaders' adventures into a dark and gritty world while also giving us something fresh and new. Okay, we got a lot to cover, so let's get into it. I'm Kier with JoBlo Originals, and you are watching Scene Breakdown. 2022's The Batman, written and directed by Matt Reeves and of course starring Robert Pattinson. The movie follows the Batman, who's a couple of years into his career as a crime fighter and feeling frustrated because crime does not seem to be going down in Gotham City. He knows he needs to tweak his approach, but he's not sure how to do it until he faces his biggest adversary yet, with the Riddler, played by Paul Dano. The movie also stars Jeffrey Wright, the movie also stars Andy Serkis, the movie also stars Zoe Kravitz, John Turturro, Colin Farrell. It's a pretty stacked cast, but it's who's not in the top billing of the cast that we're interested in. So we are gonna take a look at that bonus scene featuring Barry Keoghan as the Joker, and hopefully determine once and for all if we think this universe is ready for the Joker already. Whew, I can tell this is gonna get spicy, so let's get into the scene. I feel like you can really already get a sense for the type of Joker Matt Reeves wants. It's kind of got like that new 52 Joker kind of look. There's even a little bit of backstory that Matt Reeves has given on the character, with him having some kind of congenital disease that has disfigured his face and caused him to have that smile. So very non-mysterious, I guess.
Almost our anniversary, isn't it?
It looks pretty good. You know, you can kind of see it a little bit. You know, you can see where Matt Reeves is going. Now, I will say, as the performance goes on, I have some opinions on the line delivery for some of this stuff, but the overall look is kind of good. It's working for me. And I also love Matt Reeves chose to shoot almost every single angle of Barry Keoghan out of focus or in a reflection or obscured by something, just to kind of tease us as to what this character might look like.
First anniversary is paper.
I also really like the kind of flirtatious dialogue in this scene. Matt Reeves really knew how to write the dialogue between these two characters.
You think I could offer this stuff? Don't you? You have pictures.
Now, Barry Keoghan famously, I'm gonna pause it really quick, famously did audition to be in the Batman, but his audition tape was for the Riddler. And you can see it online. It's on there. It's basically just him walking around with like a fedora and a cane and being creepy in a hallway. And it's, you know, it worked out, obviously. Now he plays a arguably more iconic villain within the same universe, but I think from the audition tape, you could tell that that is not at all what Matt Reeves had in mind for his version of the Riddler, so probably for the better, you know? Got those fucked up hands. Oof. Oh, and don't worry, we're gonna talk about the laugh as soon as we hear more of it. Kind of getting a little bit of like Hannibal Lecter there. Like, oh, did you see those fingertips? Yikes. You gotta admit, the character design, it works. It does work, and all these, you know, all these shots really help sell the eeriness of the character. But this is kind of the point in the scene where I start to be a little bit more unsure about how I feel, because Barry Keoghan's line delivery, I mean, he's definitely doing a character. He doesn't sound like Barry Keoghan. He sounds like a character, but it sounds like he's still trying to figure out his Joker. It seems like he's still trying to find the pocket. You know what I mean?
So meticulous. Like you've been planning this his whole life.
He's kind of almost doing like some of these lines, it almost sounds like he's doing Heath Ledger for some of these lines. You know what I mean? He's kind of, I think, still just incorporating different techniques. Some of these lines sound different from others, and I think he's just still experimenting and playing, which is ultimately probably why this scene didn't make it in the movie, and I'm glad that it's not in there. It's not necessary at all, while it is entertaining. But this is really where you start to see his performance. It's not fully cooked. You know what I mean? And that's why I wonder, are we ready for this? Or you know, is there maybe more stuff we can get to, more, you know, untapped potential with other villains that we can get to first, and then bring in an iconic character that's fully thought out and been fully developed by the actor playing that character. You know what I mean?
I know who he is. No.
But he is scary as hell, right? Scary Barry. That's what I call him.
He's a nobody. Wants to be somebody.
He's even kind of doing the... Now, of course, he's got all that makeup and prosthetics on, and that could definitely be part of it. That's why Heath Ledger did it, but it almost comes off as a little bit of an impression. You know what I mean?
He feels these people have all wronged him.
I do love that you can fully see the dark eyes and the red smile. And then when you're up close, as soon as we get these close-up shots, you kind of can't see them anymore. They disappear into the disease, into the gnarliness of it. So that's really, really good design.
Why'd you write it to me? Maybe he's a fan of yours?
You know, he actually, you know who this version of the Joker is to me? I gotta pause it again. For my comic book readers out there, if you've read it, let me know down in the comments and tell me if Barry Keoghan's Joker reminds you of the Joker from Serious House on Serious Earth. That is very much the vibe I get from the look of the character, but as well from the kind of, you know, flirty yet very threatening and eerie dialogue. That actually makes me kind of like it more. I don't know. Let's keep it going.
But something is different this time. This is very upsetting to you.
Now, the thing that I also really love about this is Matt Reeves knows how to bring the Joker in front of Batman and have them create something magical for the audience, you know? The whole thing is this scene exists so that the Joker can deconstruct Batman and can kind of flip the coin and show him a little bit about himself and challenge him, you know? But this scene really just exists to show off how good the Joker is at kind of deconstructing and almost diagnosing the Batman, you know?
Let's get back to him. Why? You are so much more fun. I'm not here to talk about me. What are you here to talk about?
I think Robert Pattinson's Batman costume, by the way, probably my favorite on-screen Batman costume. I know a lot of people love the Snyderverse kind of Dark Knight Returns cloth Batman suit, but this one, for me, so good. That cowl is so good.
Masked Avengers. So he's even more righteous.
These shots are good. The patchy look of his hair is pretty gnarly. I like the color of green, you know? You'd think that that's not that important, but it is.
Okay. I'll tell you what I really think.
I love the way that they do this. The teaser with the eyes and then the mouth. Separate, you don't see them together.
You're not sure he's wrong, huh? You think they deserved it, huh?
Man, that is kind of a lot. So let's talk first off about the laugh, because the laugh is, believe it or not, a very important piece of the character. I mean, he's known for laughing. It's not the best laugh I've ever heard. I think that that award would certainly have to go to Mark Hamill, but it is good. It's really hard to get like a belly aching, authentic laugh unless you're actually laughing. So it's decent. I'll take it. I think the line delivery, while the dialogue was of course incredible, I think that there was a little bit something missing. Like I said, it still felt a little bit experimental to me. And I don't know if you guys feel that way, but of course I want to hear all of your thoughts on this down below. But what I want to know ultimately is, are we ready for this? Because we're getting a lot of Joker stuff. I mean, for better or worse, there's a lot of it coming. And I don't want to claim Joker fatigue, because if it's good, I'll always take it. But I just wonder, is there better opportunities, more unexplored stuff that we can do before we jump back in to the Joker thing? And then follow that up by letting me know when it's time for more Joker. Are we stoked on Barry Keoghan? I think he can do it. I just think we're gonna need to see him adapt a little bit more before stepping back into that. And I also would love it if he's dapperly dressed, because if he's got that fucked up gnarly face and hair, how cool would it be to contrast that against like a purple pinstripe tuxedo? Anyway, guys, let me know what your thoughts are down below, and also let me know what you want to see from Barry Keoghan's Joker when we inevitably see more of him. Don't forget to like the video if you liked it, but of course let me know what other iconic movie scenes you would love to see me break down here on the channel. Thanks everybody, take care, bye-bye.